Here we go.
Here we go.
3, 2, 1, and we're live.
Cool.
They can see us now.
Cool. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds good.
Sounds good.
Well, I'm excited to be here, and I can't see your screen because I'm kind of blind, so...
No, it's okay. You don't have to.
You just make it darker.
I dim it down. You know what's interesting is that you commented, right? You put on Yitzhak and Joseph, or you put I love this, right?
Yeah.
And then I commented back, and I was like, you should be on.
Yeah.
And now 3 weeks later,
I'm actually here.
you're actually here.
Yep.
And I'm so excited that you're here.
I am too.
Yeah.
I don't know what to expect, and I don't know what I'm going to be asked right now, but I'm a pretty candid, no-filter person. So this could either be really good or really bad for me.
Well, I think it's going to be good because we talked on the way. You met me at my house.
Mm-hmm.
Drove over together.
We did. It's a beautiful drive, by the way.
It was, huh?
Yeah.
It's a beautiful day today.
Kind of. It's starting to burn off all the gunk in the sky because this morning was pretty overcast.
Yeah, but it was nice. Talked. Had a good conversation.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of podcast material we went through.
Yeah, I didn't even realize we were talking about podcast material. I was just planting all these seeds in your head.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really want to ask you questions because
okay.
Like what we did in the car was pretty nice.
Okay.
We just started talking.
Yeah.
And I kind of want to talk about how interesting that it is that we're doing this from, because the last time we actually ever talked to each other was probably practice in middle school.
Yeah, probably.
Doing soccer.
Mm-hmm.
Doing a soccer practice.
Or 8th grade graduation or promotion for me.
Yeah, saying bye or.
Yeah, that was probably it. And then everyone just got old.
Yeah.
Because that was what? Almost 10 years ago?
Jeez Louise. Yeah.
Ugh.
I was 6th grade. What's that? Like 10 years old?
11,
10,
yeah.
11?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm 20.
Or no, maybe not. Hold on. Oh, yeah, 11 is 6th grade.
Yeah, I'm going to be 21 pretty soon.
Yeah. So it was 10 years ago. It's pretty sad. Back in the soccer days, too.
Yeah.
Because I never played soccer after that.
You didn't? Yeah, so, I mean, I kind of just wanted to ask you if you... Well, first of all, they don't even know who you are yet.
Oh, gosh. I don't even know how to describe myself.
Well, first your name, of course.
Hi, I'm Emily, and I am 22 years old. I just graduated college last year at Loyola Marymount University back in December of last year, or I guess the year before, 2018. I live out in LA.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Everything else is I'm about to go down a rabbit hole of just this is how my day was. And
okay, one thing that I actually wanted to talk about.
Yeah.
Was kind of that.
Ask away, man.
It's just how so to me it's a little crazy to see you out of nowhere, because that's one of the great things about the podcast, where I'm getting to talk to people that I haven't really talked to in a while.
Yeah.
And catch up.
Totally.
About a bunch of different things, and I don't know if it's when I was texting you, it was nothing. I was oh yeah, just meet me here and here and here, and then I realized oh shit,
it's actually gonna happen. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's been 10 years.
Totally.
It's super, but as soon as I saw you, because I always knew you're a good person and
Thank you. I'm glad. Well, I think that's the beauty of social media though too, is I literally probably haven't talked to you other than seeing you at those Christmas parties since, again, middle school, but at the same time I feel I know what's going on in your life and stuff because of social media, and same with your brothers too. I haven't seen them in forever either. So that's kind of cool. As much as we hate on social media, it's a cool way of keeping people connected. And
yeah, it's nice to because that's how I've reached out to most of the people that have been on. It's just a quick little text or a DM. Do
you have favorites, favorite interviews or podcasts that you've done?
I mean, they're all equally good. They're all good in specific ways, because the most recent one that came out was about the mental health and everything. I had an expert on.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Cool.
An expert, a licensed therapist, and we talked about mental health, depression, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So that was a lot of fun. But then at the same time, the stuff with my brothers, we got to sit down and talk about
totally
things that, because we always are with each other, and we always get to talk to each other.
Yeah.
We've never sat down and had a conversation.
Totally.
So we talked about things that outside the podcast and leading up to the podcast about girls and things that never get really brought up at the house because we just are running around doing our own thing. So that was a lot of fun. And then with my friends, most of the things we talk about get edited out.
Yeah. You're like, we can't have that in there.
Yeah, we can't have that because we talk about really like college things.
Totally.
That are like insane, but yeah.
Yeah, well, and it's cool I think talking with your brothers and your friends just because it's things that like are kind of unspoken normally that everyone just finds funny, but it's only when you have to like talk about like when we do this, it's so weird. Like especially sibling stories, like growing up stories. We all grew up the same way for the most part. But once we acknowledge, like, do you remember when we all did this? And then it's just so funny because you forget that havpened until you like all acknowledge these little.
Is there anything? Do you have any stories?
Oh gosh, I think growing up I was just an absolute. Can I cuss?
Yeah, of course.
I was an absolute shit magnet. Like everything that could go wrong went wrong with me when I was little. Like I remember in 7th grade, this is my favorite story. In 7th grade, I hadn't started puberty yet. So like, I mean, I was like 2'3", like I was tiny. I was tiny.
Yeah.
But all my friends started puberty, so they all had to like start using acne face wash and stuff like that. And I didn't need to yet because I was prepubescent. But I really wanted face wash, so I ended up buying some like behind my mom's back because I was like, I might get in trouble for buying acne face wash. I didn't know how to use it, so I scrubbed it into my face, and then I just went to bed. I didn't rinse it off. Like I had all these suds all over my face, and I went to bed, and I woke up, and my face was like peeling off. Like it was the most disgusting thing ever, and I was like, but you have to go to school. And I was just like, well, so I held like an actual aloe plant all day at school, and I was like rubbing my face because
how did I not see this?
See, like all these things happened, and I think they make you who you are because these little girls nowadays, they don't go through that phase. They go straight from like being 8 to like being an Instagram model, and that's
pretty crazy, huh? Especially with like TikTok. Are you on TikTok?
I'm not on TikTok.
How are you not on TikTok?
I refuse to go on TikTok, but
you could be TikTok famous.
The girls I hung out with yesterday were like, have you tried this TikTok dance? And like they were talking about funny videos. I was like, that just sounds like a black hole. I just got on Twitter again, and that I'm looking tweets, and it's like an hour later. I'm like, what just?
I know the time goes by. I had someone on, and they were talking about how over the winter break, when they go back home, they have nothing to do. So they downloaded TikTok. And the screen time, you know how iPhone records your screen time? Went from, I think, 4 hours to 15 hours.
15 hours a day.
Because of pure, like, just spending time, like, day and night.
And at that point, it's almost like muscle memory. You just, like, pick up your phone, and I'm not even looking. Like, lights are on, no one's home. I'm just scrolling through, and I'm, like, trying to be a little bit more mindful of that.
I don't go too much on social media, only to... Now I do it more just to contact people for this, and then to post my stuff. Yeah. It's kind of like I use it just to, I never liked it. Yeah. I guess. I don't know.
I like using it for inspiration and stuff.
Yeah, there's some people I go on just to check.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. It's just easy to slip from, like, being inspired to, like, just absolutely hating your life because, like, it's easy to compare yourself to what other people are doing, and like taking yourself out of that position, realizing other people are probably looking at you being like, why can't I be like that, and it's just an endless cycle of just toxic energy. But I don't know.
I mean, it has its benefits though.
Yeah.
But they're hard to find.
Well, no, I don't know. I think the benefits are
like a slippery slope, like you said.
It's just, I think what you're using it for, like, I think it's great for staying in contact with people. Like, my older brother has a baby now, and if it weren't for social media, I feel like I don't actually ever see them too often, just holidays. But since we have social media, like, every morning I get Snapchats of my nephew, and it feels like I'm there, so I'm seeing him grow up. And that's, a luxury that we have that I think previous generations didn't. However, when you're using it more to, like, I don't know, the toxic energy surrounding just like the Instagram culture, I think, and like constantly comparing yourself to other people, because realizing everyone is putting out literally the highlighted version of themselves. And I think it's just important to acknowledge that.
Yeah, it's and maybe that's why I didn't, outside from like certain things I used it for, I don't know. Because I always knew that was like the thing behind it. So like at the beginning when I was little, I would just post like, because I thought the coolest thing would be like my family. So I just post like me and my family.
That's what I do.
I realized like that's like the only photos I had, and I didn't really have photos of like myself.
Yeah.
And I was like, wait, maybe I should start doing that.
Yeah.
Because I felt pressured because I saw everyone else doing it, and I was like, wait.
I think it's interesting for a guy too. Because,
yeah, it's because
like, I know they talk about
weird.
this on Call Her Daddy. I hate to like, whatever, but just like the fact that like girls, there are very few boundaries surrounding like what's not cringy for a girl to post because everyone just has their own little niche. Like one girl might just post pictures of her eyeball all day. That was a really random example, but like it's like artsy, whereas like a guy, it's like
filters.
If you're posting a selfie, it's like, oh it's my weird. Gosh, this guy's so full of himself. Like, and meanwhile, girl, it's the complete opposite.
Yeah, I guess I have to look.
Yeah,
you're making me feel. I'm like, maybe
I'm talking about you directly. No, I don't know. Even just like your hobbies and stuff, and like you got to have the tasteful amount of like pics with your friends, but
because I feel like I've uploaded too many like teasers for this podcast, and I have to break it up with maybe photos.
But see, at the same time, it's like, why give a shit?
Yeah,
you know?
I know.
I don't know. It's like there's sometimes where I'll like be doing something so fun, and I'm like putting random stuff on my story, and then at the end of the day, I'm like, no one wants to see this shit, and I'll go and like erase everything, and then I'm like, dude, why? Like, why do I care so much?
At concerts.
Yeah. Oh, and see, but that's why I feel that way, because when I see other people at concerts, I'm like clicking them, like, I don't care about this. Like all the tiny little things up top of the screen.
And then you
already
end up doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's. It's so terrible. You know, I'm actually worried for the generation like below us though, because I think we're able to like step back and like make fun of ourselves for it. I don't know if that makes it better or worse, but at least be a little bit more self-aware. Because like,
you don't think they are? Like,
I don't think so. I think we grew up in a generation where like during the formative childhood years, we're at Thomas Burton, like, you know, everyone's
Thomas
out
Burton,
and doing stuff. Yeah, I still run at Thomas Burton, but like I remember on my street growing up, we had kind of the
people would still like
the neighbors who all of us hung out at the top of the street and like had one of those roll out like basketball hoops, and we'd all hang out every day. And then because the iPhone didn't come out till I think I was a freshman in high school.
You just dated yourself, right?
Yeah, I'm so old. But we grew up like I had a Voyager in 6th grade. Like it finally had like flip screen and it was touch screen.
I know.
Like,
I didn't
cool.
realize that. I stole my brother's phone one time in middle school to like show it off to like all the kids, and it was the coolest thing about it was I had this little like nudge.
Yes, the twisty one.
Yeah,
the one where it like twisted this way and this way. Oh, dude, loved it.
And I remember thinking back, like, because we were having a conversation with some of my friends about like if we like would hit up girls in middle school, like what like relationships were in middle school.
Yeah.
And I remember, and I was thinking back, and like I'd have flashbacks, and it'd be a little keyboard.
I'd be texting, like trying to get the winky face.
Yeah. I remembered, and I was like, oh my gosh, I was using. And when I talk about it with my little sister, she thinks it's so weird, or she thinks it's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. But then she tries to act cool and be like, oh yeah, I remember.
It's our culture, man. No, it's funny because like even it makes my parents sound so old when they say it, but they're like, yeah, like I remember when the first like the really cool typewriter came out, and I'm like, how old are you? But then I remember using like Alpha Smarts. Do you remember Alpha Smarts? They were like, do you not remember? They were like the little typey things. It was just a keyboard and like a little gray screen, and you could type.
Maybe
it was like before you could type on the laptops. Anyways, they don't use Alpha Smarts anymore. Now the 4th graders like have their own laptops. Wild, man, wild stuff.
When did you get your first phone?
I had my first phone in 3rd grade. It was a pink Razor, and it was mostly because I needed to be picked up after school. So I only really had like my parents. Granted, there was no one else to text anyway. Yeah. But someone got my number, like an old man, and was texting me. And I was in 3rd grade. Stranger danger, man.
Yeah, for sure.
But I texted him back. And so so there's one day we were at like my friend's Halloween party. Remember, I was in 3rd grade. And my mom saw my phone. She's like, who are you texting? And I was like, I don't know. And she like had my uncle call the number, and it was like a dude. My uncle like chewed him out. And then I got my phone taken away, and I didn't get another phone until like 7th grade. Oh my God, I have a funny 3rd grade story. The only reason I remember this, you're gonna like this story. So when I was growing up, I used to just always have boogers in my nose. Okay. Always, like nonstop, just bats in the cave. And I remember, so
where'd you go to?
I went to Mesa. So I went to Mesa K through 8. Yeah. But so my friends all started calling me Mocos. That was my nickname. Mm-hmm. I had no idea what it meant. So I thought it was so cute. And then the ASO season started. Like ASO is like rec soccer for anybody who doesn't know.
Yeah, I'm sure they know.
Okay. Well, I know like some places, like even people I went to school with in college had no idea what I was talking about. Mm-hmm. Anyway, so you know how they have the banner and they're like, okay, what are you guys' nicknames? And like mine was always Eminem. But I was like, this year I'm going to be Mocos. And like all the little I thought it was so cute. And like all little girls on my team were like laughing. I was like, I don't understand why this is funny. And the coach was like, do you know what that means? And I was like, no. And they're like, it means boogers. And like I literally was so heartbroken. I like went home and I was like, I thought my friends had such a cute nickname for me, but it's okay, you gotta own it sometimes.
Yeah, there was like a bunch of different things you could do, like Facebook. I look back at some of the messages on Facebook, like maybe a couple months back.
Yep.
Weird.
You know, that was a weird era. Like I had a memory pop up yesterday of myself. And just like the captions out, the emojis that you would create with all the different symbols, like
like some of the messages I was sending, I was like, whoa, Joel.
Yeah, you're like, wow, that's growth right there. I'm like, I look back and I'm like, that's a different person. I mean, it is a different person.
That should be a thing. I should do that. I'll probably do that soon.
Read through old Facebook messages? No, it's because
I did it. So I did it and I saw this girl and I was like, oh, I wonder what I looked and like my pickup lines or like what I was sending to like, I was like, what? Rough. And it would work though. And I was like,
because that was the era. Yeah, it was like I look at mine and it's like, hey, with like 8 Y's and they'd be like, hey, with like 7 Y's. And that was like the love language with like the winky face. That was like an upwards and then like the heart on the other side.
What's the new thing though? What's the thing now?
Well, they've added new emojis, but I've found that now that I'm 22 and mature, I just don't use emojis as frequently. So
okay,
yeah.
What do you use? You just text now?
No, it's really gross. It's
Can I say something?
Yeah.
Pretty bad.
Yeah.
To put you on the spot.
Yeah.
When you were texting me, I thought you were mad at me.
Yeah. See that. That's how I text now. It's devastating.
That's why I thought you didn't want to be here.
I'm like, fine.
You're like, sounds good. And I was like, oh.
You're like, are you mad?
I was like, all right, sorry, am I late? I didn't know I was supposed to.
No, I just like, that's how I text nowadays. It's so bad because I think it's because like for my job, I have to like chat with people all day through different text type interfaces, and so it's very formal, like always with like the M dashes and like you know, sounds good, like how's your day going or whatever. And so now I find myself texting like that, like it's hard for me to be like, and also I'm just not like a girly girl. I wish I was. I try so hard, but
to like add
I don't have any like girls in my family, and I don't know if that is the reason, but I just grew up with like guys all the time, and so I just don't really have like a super feminine energy. And I feel like some of those emojis, you gotta really be feeling them to be like, how's your day going? Glitter, pink, shaking heart. I just can't channel that.
I appreciate them. You know what's a real skill though now is being able to like kind of level with the person as soon as you get a few texts. Learn their
like, text language, dude.
It's like, okay, there's no emojis. Okay, I gotta pause the emojis. I gotta stop the emojis. Oh gosh. Because if you keep going with the emojis, it's like
it's too
weird.
Much. Yeah, you're not on the same level. It's interesting.
So as soon as I got the sounds good, I was like,
you're like, okay.
Okay.
Whereas if I would have been like dolphin, butterfly, rainbow, that's my aunt text.
You'd wait 20 minutes for me to reply because I didn't know like what emoji to use. Because I'm like,
yeah. Oh, that's interesting. It's interesting, like. I think even meeting new people and like getting to know them in person, or even like in the dating world, and then you're like, I hope you're not a shitty texter, because like it's a real thing. Just like
I suck. I'm gonna be honest. I suck at texting.
You suck.
I heard this one thing where if it's a bad texter, it was on Twitter.
Okay, yeah.
It's just
I
like-
mean, that's a very reliable source.
Very reliable source. It had like 50K retweets.
Oh, so reliable.
verified
That's
around.
basically, yeah,
Yeah.
it's like a scholarly article.
It was like the worst texters are the best people in person, and I
Okay.
took that. And
Oh,
I'm
so
taking
that from
to
that
the
second
grave.
on, you're like,
Yeah,
yes, I'm a shitty texter.
I'm bad for a reason
Yeah.
because in person
I'm just so
I'm better.
incredible. Yeah. No, I've been really bad about texting recently to where like I just don't have the energy to respond, so I leave it in my inbox all day, and I'm like, oh, and then also with reactions now, it's over because 90% of texts I don't have to respond to. It's just like, haha,
yeah,
that was funny. Yeah.
That in group chats though, like
It changed the game.
yeah,
It
but
really
it's like pretty difficult because sometimes like if I don't respond maybe for 3 hours, then I have to like swipe
Oh yeah.
up, look for the like.
First world problems, man. Just so difficult
30
having
seconds.
to scroll up and see what they like that I sent. Sure.
Can I take that ASMR break?
So this is how people do ASMR?
They, like, talk like
But they also eat and stuff.
You're gonna hate this. I was about to choke
No.
right out.
That would be really good content. Just having you choke on
That
here.
was gonna
Choking
freak
ASMR. Okay.
We need more ASMR because we didn't give them any ASMR.
Okay.
So. Are you gonna do anything?
I couldn't think of doing. I was thinking of doing
it's
that thing where you go like,
whispering. Oh, that was cool.
that was okay. That was
yeah,
pretty
that's
cool.
pretty nice.
It's like actually like a serene.
Yeah, that's pretty.
I've never done that before. That was so cool.
How'd you do that?
I've seen people do it. I don't think I actually did it correctly because when people do it really well, it sounds like a ripple. Like,
Oh.
Like,
I thought it was pretty cool.
thanks.
Yeah.
We're just going to roll with it then.
Yeah.
Let me try it again. Oh. That one didn't work. Let me just bruise my face real quick.
That's funny. All right. I think that was good. That was good. I don't think they need anything else.
Okay.
I think we're good.
I really don't like how this sounds. It sounds like the word moist. Like,
Say
you know,
it.
people hate the word moist. How do you whisper moist? Moist. Oh, I hate it.
It's so funny. It's because the best thing about this, why I love having the headphones
Uh-huh.
in, is because when we're talking, it's like when you talk in like a conversation, you have to be louder for the other person to hear you on the other side. Because like we're pretty close,
That's true.
but like when I'm talking right now, I know that I'm like when you talk, you're in my ears.
Yeah.
Like, as if I had like
It also eliminates like the background sound.
yeah. So we're like in it.
Yeah.
That's why I think it's so funny.
But
But it's also when you said moist, it's like.
it's like right in
In
your.
your
It's like
ear?
as if I'm literally whispering it in your ear.
But then that's how they hear it, so it's pretty
Oh,
cool.
good. That's a treat. I took a. I was like. Did I minor in journalism too?
Did you?
I don't know.
That'd be pretty.
Potentially.
So what did you make?
So I was English, but like pre-law track.
Mm-hmm.
And I was the editor-in-chief of the yearbook at my school. So that was a really fun experience. It actually started as, like, writing is just my strong suit. And so it's hard to have a job on campus when you're on a team because we had practice twice a day. And my coach really frowned upon us, like, taking more responsibilities. I mean, like, when you're on a scholarship, you really should be primarily focusing on what's better for your gameplay, or in my case, like my running. But your girl was broke, so I just wanted some like extra cash. And so I joined the yearbook staff as a writer my freshman year. And then it quickly became something that rather than just being a side job, like I became passionate about it, which is funny because I was never like a yearbook kid or anything in high school. So my sophomore year, I stepped up as the like writing director. So I was in charge of the writing staff. And I became super close with the editor-in-chief that year. We ended up winning the Gold Crown Award, which was like the best
I don't know
college.
what that is, but that sounds amazing.
it's like the highest award for like a college publication, basically.
Nice.
University publication. So they flew us out to New York for like a big convention on it, and it was really cool.
That's awesome.
And while we were there, it was just me and the editor-in-chief that flew out. She was like, I really think you should apply next year, blah, 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 but I don't have a lot of skills in like design, photography, that type of stuff. And she's like, you learn, and also it's more just managing that everyone else is doing their job. So I applied, and that was really awesome. It was cool. Like the end of my junior year, or the end of my sophomore year, I guess, of college, all summer it was just like coming up with designs that I thought looked cool, like working with the design director and kind of coming up with different spreads and like what we wanted the theme of the book to be. So it was really cool, like having that idea in your head and being able to actually execute it, just with like delegating different tasks to different people. So it was really cool.
It's awesome.
Like passion projects, I guess. And then since I left early in my senior year, I just helped out, but I wasn't able to like really be a part of it. But lots of fun.
That's super cool.
Yeah.
That sounds like, I feel like you can do so much when you're in college.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of different things to do.
I think it's the most, or like you make the most of it if you make the most of it, because it's also easy to like just disappear and do the bare minimum, and sometimes that's what you want to do. But I got confirmed in college because, not that it's an excuse, but in high school, like I just had practice every day, and you know, I don't know, whatever, again, that's an excuse. But in high school also, everyone who got confirmed in high school, I feel like the classes were so often, right? Because you got confirmed in high school.
Like maybe sophomore, freshman year, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I think that's around the time. But like, isn't it pretty frequent classes for like 2 years?
Like once a week.
Yeah, but like for 2 years, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was in the RCIA group, which is technically for like everything, baptism, first communion. But the confirmation class was on Mondays, and I had class on Mondays, so I went to the RCIA.
We're talking about religion, by the way, for those who don't know what confirmation is.
But so this actually begun, I'm just like, my brain goes 700 different directions at once, so like there's a lot of tangents. I was just telling someone the story yesterday. So during my sophomore year of college, I went through this phase where I was having a lot of sleep paralysis. Have you ever had that?
Yeah. I mean, I think once, and it freaked me out.
It's freaky. So. Basically, it's when like your brain is ready to wake up, but your body's so fatigued that you're not awake. And on the outside, you're actually just sleeping, but you like wake up.
I didn't know that was.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes. So basically, your brain would remember what it looked like when you fell asleep. Yeah. And so you wake up, and really it's just like the image of what the room looked like when you fell asleep, but you feel like you're awake and you can't move. I mean, everyone's episodes are a little bit different, but I thought I was possessed because like sometimes you hallucinate and see figures and stuff.
I've heard that.
And so I was freaked out because one of the times I woke up and I had a cross hanging above my bed and it fell, and I was like, nah. That's it. Nah. I'm out of here. And so I went to church that night, and I literally caught the priest afterwards. I was like, can I talk to you real quick? And I pulled him into the room and was like, I think I'm possessed. And he was like, I don't think so. I was like, what do I do? Do I sprinkle holy water in my room? Like, what do I do? And then like I ended up I was so freaked out. I didn't want to go back to bed because I was like, there's a demon coming for me. And then I ended up going back to my apartment that night, and one of my roommates was like, dude, like that happens to me all the time. And I was like, what? Whoa. You're possessed too? And then I ended up just doing a bunch of research on it. And online, of course. Yeah, online. Reputable sources. Yes. Yeah. But learned that I actually wasn't possessed.
That you had. Do you still have, like, sometimes? Does that happen?
Not as much since I stopped running. I think a big thing was just like my body was so tired all the time.
That's interesting.
But... that tangent was because after that, the priest was like, well, you can hang around for like the RCIA group today. I can talk to you after. So I hung out with that group that day right after church just because I wanted to talk to the priest afterwards. But he was like, hey, you know, like, did you ever get confirmed? I was like, no. And so I ended up getting confirmed to LMU. Yeah, maybe that's why I'm not having sleep paralysis. Maybe I was actually possessed. It's funny. I used to have dreams when I was little of like, what's it called? Like trypophobia. Is that like the circle weird patterns?
I think so.
I used to
can
have
look it up.
really disgusting. But I used to have dreams of like holes like sinking into my hand, and it would look like there's actually a picture online when you look up trypophobia of like the hand with the holes in it. I used to have dreams of that. TRYPO, I think. Is it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
Are you gonna like
okay, there's a hand, that one. I used to have dreams of my hand doing that. Oh, I want to throw up just looking at it. This one gets me every time.
This one?
Oh my god. Look at that one. That one. That is the one. It looks like a honeycomb, and that would happen to my hands during my dream, and like bugs would be crawling out of it. Like, I mean, every dream has a meaning apparently, so I would love to know why my 8-year-old self was having those dreams.
Jeez Louise.
But yeah, disgusting. Are you someone who has like really vivid dreams?
Lately, so I was like, I've been kind of sick. I'm getting over a sickness right now. That's why my voice is kind of weird. But lately I've had some pretty intense dreams.
Okay.
Yeah.
But are you someone who like remembers your dreams and everything, or?
There's like specific ones.
Okay.
I had stories are coming out that I've never.
Let's do it.
I had this like, I think one of my greatest accomplishments in my life was defeating my nightmare like monster, which is Chucky. I saw Chucky for the first time.
Yeah, forever.
He would revisit my in nightmares like multiple times.
You should put that on your LinkedIn. My greatest accomplishment. Defeating Chucky in my dreams.
For like maybe like a year. Mm-hmm. And I try to figure out, like, the first time he killed me and I was done. Mm-hmm. Right? He threw me. There's always this ending. It was like this big, where you put the little penny and it goes around and around and around. So at the bottom was like a little chopper.
Okay.
And like that's where like I'd end up before
every time?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'd
it's a recurring dream.
Yeah, I'd always lose. And every time I'd like kind of
it.
I'd always lose because he'd freak me out.
Yeah.
And I'd like be paralyzed. And then I remember talking to my mom one time because I thought it was like stupid that I kept having this dream. I was like, why am I like worrying about this nightmare? And I told my mom, and then she was like, Joel, if you keep having it, just fight back. Just do something.
Okay.
Yeah, I know. I was like, okay, mom, like I got this. And then I tried, and then I failed. But then the next time, I was like, okay, I got this. I'm gonna like.
You're like waking up every day, like maybe tonight.
No, it was so weird because, like the days would go by, and I would think maybe tonight. It was like this.
Isn't that that's twisted? I was just talking
thing.
About this yesterday with my friends about how sometimes issues that you confront in your dreams literally like take your energy in your mental space in your actual life.
It's so weird because like it's probably crazy. Like people are like, what the fuck is he talking about?
No, it's like okay. No, there are different types of people though. When it comes to dreams, like I have friends who don't dream at all. Like they literally close their eyes, they wake up. But so I have had my dreams are like movies in my head, very clear, and I remember them.
You're that kind of person though.
Yeah.
I can kind of tell.
Oh yeah. I just like make up stories in my head so that even when I'm sleeping, I'm still
I feel like you're that kind of girlfriend that like if you guys sleep together, you wake up and you look at and you turn over and you're like, why the fuck did you do that?
Yes.
Why did you do that?
Me.
Are you kidding me?
No, I'm like mad all day because I'd be like, no, like you did this, and it's like it was a dream. I'm like, I don't give a shit. I was so pissed at you all night, and then it's crazy because they're so real, but also like dealing with issues that like you can't confront in real life is so interesting. Like after my grandma passed, that was the first major like. Started to take a really just like serious turn right now, but that was the first major instance I had with like death and loss, and I'm grateful I went 21 years of my life without knowing that, but because I went so long without knowing it, it just like completely was just so jarring. And I was having a lot of dreams in the beginning where I was sitting down with her and like talking to her about like I don't know, everything. And just like things that I felt I didn't have the chance to say before she passed away. And even though it's all scenarios made up in my head, I mean, if you want to get real spiritual about it, then like potentially not.
We went from Chucky to
but
like there's truth to that.
Yeah.
because I have a similar experience where my grandma passed away, and she was always in Mexico, so we never really talked to her.
Okay.
And when she passed away, for some reason, I pretended not to be sad. Like, I was like, oh, I never really knew her, or I really never talked to her. Like, I'm okay.
Mm-hmm.
But this thing happened where one day, like, I just freaked out, and I started, like, because I was like, oh, that's my mom's mom.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that's my mom's mom. That's my grandma, of course, but, like, that's who my mom, like, what my mom's cooking for me and all that kind of stuff. Like, that's what she did. And I started bawling, and I started crying. And that night, I had a dream where I saw her, and she came, and then all she told me was, like, oh, isn't Belait, like, my little sister, so beautiful? And I was like, oh, yes, she is. And I was like, hey, like, I'm gonna, like, miss you. I'm like, it was such a weird. And after that, I felt calm, and I told my mom.
Totally. Then, no, that's exactly, you know, because my grandma
I beat Chucky, by the way.
Yeah, there you go.
A little callback to those that want to know. I beat him.
That night. The second night? Not the first night.
Not the first night, the second night.
Yeah. But it is crazy, though, because you probably woke up that day, like, a little pep to your step. You're like, I beat Chucky last night, like, walking around your life. Like,
I felt good. I felt,
yeah.
It's so stupid. But, like, when that happened, I was like, hey, I can do stuff. Like, I was like,
isn't that so weird, though?
So
like,
weird.
It's not real.
People are so weird.
It's not real. I used to have my recurring dream when I was little was me going up to my front door. I was so terrified of being kidnapped when I was little. And I used to have this dream where I would be walking up to my front door, and a car would pull up on the street, and a guy would get out of the car and follow me up the steps to my front door, and I'd be like banging, and my family's sitting right in the living room, but they can't hear me banging. And then right when the guy was about to grab me, I would wake up every single time. I had that dream almost every night. And I don't anymore because I don't think I'm gonna get kidnapped. I mean, you know, you never know, though. I mean, I feel like it's pretty easy to just toss me over your shoulder and stuff me in the trunk, but don't take my word. But no, I think it's crazy too. Sometimes when I have nights where I have really intense dreams all night, I wake up feeling like I was not rested, you know? Which is weird because that's why I kind of wish I was one of those people that just knocks out and wakes up like energized. I feel
like you don't experience anything though. I feel like it's different because there's some nights where I don't dream, and I feel like I just blinked and I woke up.
Really? I don't think I've ever had that. No. And for the most part, I remember a lot of my dream, like to the point where I have to like debrief for a couple hours in the morning. Do
you write it down?
I don't anymore.
You used to?
Yeah, the cool thing about writing it down is I felt I had way more control over my dreams. It's so weird. But like
people are going to be like, what?
They're like, yeah,
take?
Are they on drugs right now?
It just hit a little bit ago.
Seriously. No, but sometimes I do feel like when
have you ever taken, like Inception, did you ever take control of your dream, like fly out of nowhere?
Yeah, no, when so like I feel like I used to have dreams like in elementary school and middle school of like confronting my like crush and going up to them at school and being like because I could never do it in person. So in my dreams I'd be like, let's see how this situation's gonna play out, and in my dream it never played out well. So that's why I never did it that and many reasons is why I never did that in person. But it's like kind of cool, you're living like two lives. So weird, very,
and that still happens.
It's very twisted. Yeah, I mean,
that's awesome
in the sense that like if I don't feel like I have closure in a situation, somehow I like give myself closure by like through dreams. Yeah, like that's what I was saying with my grandma is like, yeah, I had a hard time coping with her passing away. She was old, she was sick. That's essentially how life is supposed to go. Your grandparents are supposed to pass before your parents before you. But it still came out of nowhere, and we kind of didn't expect her to pass away within the next like 10 years because Okinawan people live for 8 million years. And so afterwards, and also she just had a lot of interesting views on like spirituality and like life after death. And so I think after she passed away, I just had so many thoughts on my mind. And so being able to like sit with her in my dreams and talk to her about them. And obviously like, again, this goes back to like, I don't know if there is some sort of like supernatural thing to that, but essentially if we're going to say no, then your dreams are like what you project this person would respond to how you're, so it's like literally like your own circular version of like giving yourself closure and coming to terms, coming to peace with certain situations.
And they've never really, like scientists haven't really found out what dreams are, like kind of really went into the research of all that kind of stuff. So I feel like maybe it is that part of like some, I don't know, because I don't know what happens. Yeah, but it works, and like things happen, and I don't know.
Yeah, it's honestly, if you start getting like deep thinking about just how the brain works, and also like just like the bigger forces at play. Like I grew up very like, I don't know how, like, I don't want to say like blindly Catholic, but just kind of like, this is what you're going to believe in. Like you're going to go to church every Sunday and like that's all you believe in.
Wait, so what ethnicity are you? Because I was going to say I was like being like growing up Mexican. That's like a really big,
I am, well, my mom's side of the family is, my grandma's from Okinawa. So I grew up with a big like Japanese cultural background just because my grandparents lived next door to me. And so my mom hates when I say my grandma raised me. My grandma didn't raise me, but both my parents work full time. And so when we were little, my grandma watched us pretty much all day.
Raised you?
Yeah, she raised us. I mean, like my parents did a great job of raising us, but like, you know, when you're in preschool, we didn't go to daycare. We stayed with my grandma, basically. And so we grew up like, she didn't speak very good English. And so kind of speaking broken English, broken Japanese. It's funny because, so for the past 2 summers, we've gone to Okinawa and just spent like a couple weeks there. And I also studied abroad in Rome for a little bit. But I feel like being somewhere else, when you're completely immersed in the culture, like in days, weeks, you pick up so much of the language and you learn to kind of open up your heart and your mind to like different ways of life. But anyways, so when we were here, I had a big like Japanese back, which is funny because I never went to Okinawa when I was little, or I did when I was really little, but then I have 3 brothers and it's expensive to travel. So we've gone the past couple of years, but I grew up thinking that my Japanese background was like mainstream Japan, like, you know, Hello Kitty, you know, Tokyo, basically, like all the cool techie stuff. So going to Okinawa, the culture there is,
I really want to go.
It's so beautiful.
I took a class called Thinking the Same Thing. It was Intro to Japanese Literature.
Oh, cool.
But I thought it was going to be like anime and all that kind of stuff. And then it ended up being like The Tale of Genji and like all these like classical like, literature. And I got an A+ in that class.
Wow.
Yeah, because I was fully immersed because I thought it was so interesting.
Totally.
Not so much to like learn the language because it'd be like a far stretch from like instead of like learning like Italian or French.
Yeah. Well, and especially because Spanish, that's the same like core is in a lot
languages, all that kind of stuff. But like just the culture and everything and like that. Because The Tale of Genji and I forgot what the other one was called. It's like warrior culture, and so it was super interesting. Like
totally.
And the professor was amazing. But
that's the most important part.
But
yeah, it's very
we
like,
went into like so many different things.
And that's just how it goes, you know. I have short attention span. But yeah, so in Okinawa it's very much like farmland, and so everyone, like, there's this speaker system all over the island. It's like a tiny island off the south of Japan. So the flight from there to Tokyo is like 3 hours, because I went to Tokyo last year too. But it's like it's like pineapples and like aquarium or like fish, because they have like this huge aquarium there. Very like island life. I would compare it more to like Hawaii than like Tokyo. So yeah, there's these speakers all around the town, and at 7 o'clock in the morning it basically says like good morning, and this little like song plays, and everyone gets up and does their morning stretches. And it was just like awesome. Like, these people are 90.
They live,
they live forever. But
it sounds very peaceful.
And so my mom's aunts and uncles are all like in their 80s now, but everyone's still up in the morning farming. And just because like they love being outside, they love living the like just, it's such a simple life, and I think it's so awesome. But then we flew up to Tokyo for a couple days, and it was like the polar opposite. Super cool. I love Tokyo as well, but just that's what I thought
like two different,
my like heritage was. Like, one example I could use, and this is like a blanket statement, but in Tokyo, like mainland Japan, kind of like the beauty standards is like very pale skin and like the big eyes. So like the, you know, like I don't, anime, I guess, not like the look of
I think I
like
know
a
what you're talking
Harajuku
about.
doll, like, you know what I mean? Just
Okay.
like super cute, like the whole kawaii
Oh, yeah,
culture.
yeah. Okay.
Whereas
Gotcha.
in Okinawa, everyone's very like, everyone's in the sun all the time. So like,
Yeah.
they're all farmers. Everyone's out playing in like softball leagues and stuff. So it's a lot less businessy. Everyone's on a metro a lot more like everyone's walking around just in like loose t-shirts and like
Yeah.
just chilling.
Nice.
So that was really cool to
Awesome.
get a little taste of that. And then my dad's white, so yeah.
Cool.
That's
From SoCal or
yeah. I mean, technically my 23andMe says like the UK.
oh, okay.
So I don't know. My last name is Hubert, but it's German, so it's actually shortened a couple of generations ago. It used to be Hubert von Gieselbach. So
Should keep that one.
yeah, it's very German, but I actually was not that German, like my 23andMe.
Oh, yeah.
So it's interesting how that works.
That's cool. Well, there's a lot from like that I didn't really know about.
Yeah,
That sounds like a place that I would love to go visit.
totally. Yeah, it's definitely somewhere where you kind of just go off the map for a little bit, and
That's cool.
it's one of those things where like in another life I could see myself living there, just
Yeah.
living such a simple life, but like probably not this lifetime. Like it just, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's not my personality type.
You know what sucks? So I think we have the studio only until 2.
Okay.
So I'm gonna check if someone else is waiting for us.
Oh, like
Yeah.
outside this door.
Yeah. Outside
Okay,
the store.
you go check.
Okay. You're a really funny person, by the way.
Oh, thanks. I think I'm just like a no filter person. Like it's funny because friends would be like, you know, I don't want to pry, or be like, I don't know. I just like, you know, people have stories that like only your close friends know, and like I
Yeah.
genuinely, I am such an open book that I genuinely like don't really have shame telling anybody anything, because I just think I don't know. It's just like I have friends who would be like, yeah, I had this thing and I'm not going to tell you about it because like
I hate that.
that's, and I'm like, hey, then don't even tease
Yeah.
at it. Like I'm sitting here like, dude, you will not believe what happened last night, just because I don't know. I think it's so funny.
You
very-
were here in you were near here, right? Last night. Costa
I
Mesa?
was.
Where'd you go?
We went to,
Because I don't know yet. I know you went to like a bar.
yeah,
slash,
it's actually really close.
yeah, like I said, I'm almost 21, so I'm excited to.
Yeah.
Because I know in Costa Mesa, like there's a lot of scenes
Yeah.
and like a lot of cool places to go
Totally. Yeah, well, I'm 22, so I guess I'm not that old. But I didn't go through that like phase in college where I went out all the time. So I think I just morphed into this person that just like, I don't really care about going out too often. But now I just love trying new like cute little bars and stuff like that.
Have you been to the camp or the anti-lab
Mm-mm.
here in Costa Mesa?
No.
Super cool. Yeah. The anti-lab. Dang, I feel like my voice is so like sick. Like I feel like I
Really?
sound sick.
I can't hear it, but
Dang it. I don't know.
I have like
I just kinda-
phlegm at the back of my throat right now, just because like when it's overcast, I just wake up with like some post-nasal drip going on. It's really hot. But so I keep swallowing, just trying to get it like to go
Do you
back
like a
down.
raspy voice more?
Yeah, oh dude, when I lose
I
my
love-
voice,
yeah.
I'm like, I feel so sexy right now. I remember my freshman year, I went through this
Yeah,
phase
that
where I
raspy
had,
voices.
it's hot.
I was about to say something, but do you remember? Probably cut this out. It's okay.
No,
Let's go
I lost my voice one time, like freshman year, and I was in a speech class, and I remember being like, I just could listen to myself talk all day. I had a speech that day, and like I gave it, and I was like, dude, I'm like, it's just,
Yeah.
the last time I got sick too, I remember I was talking to one of my friends, or one of my doctors in the office I work in. I was like, I wonder if they have like voice augmentation surgeries, because like if someone could just like cut my vocal cord exactly where it is right now, or like
For that
inflame it
raspy.
just to the right amount.
Yeah. It's like attractive, and I don't know why.
I don't either. It's like the morning voice, I think. That's why. In certain languages, you hold your tongue at different positions. In America, we hear folk like are very lazy. So basically, all of our words are created with our tongues just kind of just sitting there, which is why our go-to filler is always like, or like, whereas like in England, it'd be like, eh. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I know what you're talking
Like
about.
they'll be like in
We-
the, yeah.
We had a kind of conversation about that with I had my friends on.
Mhm.
I don't know, Dominic, Yeah, all them. Because we went to Paris together.
Oh, awesome.
For like a weekend. Yeah, whenever we would talk to the girls, when they would try to speak to us in English, they would try to imitate it. Now maybe they're trying to imitate it because when they were trying to think in English, they would be like,
yeah.
Like they would try to do that.
Yeah.
But it'd be so high.
Right.
Super funny. Yeah. We fell in love. But
oh, yeah, I would too. 100%.
The best thing I have is just knowing another language.
Yeah, that's Spanish. Super cool. I wish I did. And it's sad, like, now that my grandma passed, I was so worried when she first passed away. Like, I'm already forgetting so much because I'm not using it. I never have to talk to her. And so it's interesting, like, I don't want that to die. And like the culture aspect, like we try to keep it alive, but I also don't have a grandma who literally like cooks a different strange meal every day. And like FaceTiming our family from Okinawa, it just kind of happens less frequently now. So I wonder, because I've always, obviously my whole life I've had my grandma and had that huge like influence on my life. So I always pictured like my kids one day having that be a huge influence in their life as well. So it's interesting now to think about like,
are you like afraid?
Yeah, because I wonder like where I'm going to be at, like what cultural attributes I can pass on to my children as I feel them kind of like diminishing in myself, you know? Yeah. And also interesting to think about like the person you end up with too and picking up all of their culture. But I think that's the coolest thing. It's just like culture. Like for instance, I know this is in a lot of cultures except for like, don't come at me, but like the white culture, you know, where like families are very close. I don't want to say white families aren't close. I'm white, but like I noticed like in certain cultures, you literally like live in the same place. And so like in Okinawan culture, our whole family there lives on the same plot of land. They built their houses, but they all can like walk 10 feet to each other's houses. And so that's how we always were. So I live next door to my grandparents, and like the furthest one of my uncles lives in like Inland Empire area. It's only a 40-minute drive, but I remember when they moved out there, my grandma was heartbroken because it was like, how could you be moving so far? Blah, blah, blah. We're never going to see you. And like, we still see each other like once a week. Everyone hangs out, but it's so much of a cultural thing for her, for family to literally proximity wise and emotionally, I guess, be super, super tight knit, close knit.
I feel like that's back because I think I have maybe one first cousin here in the United States. Like mostly everyone's in Mexico. Yeah. But that was a big thing too. Like whenever we go, everyone's right next to each other. But I feel like now, the more and more we go into the future and like different generations, more of my cousins want to live in like different cities. Yeah. But I think that's because now, and especially in Mexico, since we're connected to the United States, a lot of my cousins growing up now, like everyone knows English, some sort of like, because like that's like the main thing that they teach. I guess like in different countries as well, but I feel like a lot of them, especially in Mexico and like higher class kind of people, want to adopt that Western ideology and be more like people in the United States. So they're moving away and like they're trying to be more independent, listen to where like when I go back, I'm not in a sense trying to be like, I mean that's great for them, I guess, in that kind of sense, because they're being more like, they're building more cities and that kind of thing. But when I go back, I'm going back to reminisce about that, about being so close. And when I went back the last time, it's like we'd have to drive where we would be in one house and everyone would be there. Yeah. But that's when we were like in middle school and like super young. And that was like, that's what I think of when I go back. Well, I think it's also changing a bit, but
it depends on like your relationship with your family too. And like,
I feel like we're kind of blessed.
100%.
Because it's like relatable because I mean, I love my family. And like,
family is family is everything. But like I've always seen your family growing up, like at school, obviously, but also just around town. Like people know your family, and you guys are all just are famous. No, but you guys are super close, and like, and like it's so notable, like the relationship you have with your siblings. Like you're all best friends, and that's so awesome. And I grew up similar. Like my family, my siblings are my best friends. Like my parents are, I just think, the greatest people ever. And I think it's weird getting older and realizing, like, not that that makes me any better than anyone else. You know, there are pros and cons to literally everything. But it's interesting realizing like not everyone was raised the same way you were, not everyone had the same upbringing.
For me, it didn't hit me as well because like you said, like growing up in Hacienda Heights like most of like my life, and then getting into college is when you meet people from everywhere, and especially like sometimes around the world from different countries, but mostly from different states. But even in California, like people from North Cal, like way different from the people like in SoCal, and like some guy from Fresno, and like but like when I started to meet the people I met here in college, and like the people that I live with, like I live with like 5 other different guys. It's like everyone's different, where I'm like talking about my family and like, oh, that's so cool that you're, and I asked them, and you get to know different people, and it's totally different.
Different dynamic.
Mean, at the same time, they seem like very genuine people, so maybe they didn't. So it's all different.
Right. No, everyone's like, there's no scale like this. Like everyone's just in different, you know, places, and for all good reason. I have my best friend is an only child, and she grew up in like a beautiful like little beach bungalow in San Pedro, overlooks the ocean. I grew up way inland in the Hacienda Heights, like, but I grew up with like a big backyard and like you know, whatever. And we always talk about like how different and we're so similar, and like she's my best friend obviously, but there are so many little things that'll come out that it's like her preferences, my preferences, where you're realize, like I remember when we were roommates our freshman year of college, and I remember her mom would come over all the time and like take us shopping and stuff like that. And I remember at first I was like, is this making my mom look bad? Because like my mom, but then I'm like, my mom has like 3 other kids to worry about, and like, and not that makes it any, you know, it's just different. Because at first I was like just more comparing the 2 situations as they were, and then it's like realizing at the same time that just every situation is so different. And I think it's important to acknowledge that as well, kind of going back to the whole idea of like comparing yourself to other people. It's just like everyone has completely different upbringings, completely different goals, that there's no point at all in ever comparing yourself to anybody. Deep.
Deep. No, but that's the thing I love about like I was so excited when driving over, because I was doing something else before getting to my house where we met up. But like on the way here, like the sun was out, and I was like super excited. Like I was like smiling the whole time. I was like, I can't wait for this. This is gonna be so much fun. Because one of the best things about doing this is that realization where I have like a bunch of different people so far. Like now it's gonna be more like I'm getting into it. I'm like learning a little bit more like how to do it better. But the stories that people have, and like when we kind of agree on something, it's like but they're different people that you would never think, and when I have them on here and like having a great conversation, you just realize
like well and I think like I told you, I've been like a yes man this year, in the sense that like people who I've never talked to would be like, hey, do you want to grab coffee? And like normally I'd be like, no, it's my day off, like I want to sleep. But it'd be like, you know what, like I like, let's just see if we vibe, and if not then like whatever, I put myself out there. And I think it's so awesome having those conversations with people who most of the time you only know through their social media platform or something like that, or just someone who you knew when they were like 8 years old. So being able to sit down and like kind of find things in common, and also just be like, hey, I saw that you posted you went to Paris, but like getting the context behind it. But it's cool that you're doing it over podcast like medium, because
I think it's
other people can be a part of it too.
And that's the coolest thing. But like we could have done this like maybe like later down the road where we're like, I don't know, maybe grabbing coffee or something. But like it's a great genuine conversation that people get a whatever they're doing, like listen and be like, oh, that's super cool, or like oh, maybe I should do that, like maybe I should hit someone up, or like
but also just like my brothers are the most ridiculous people ever, and I love them so much. But like I grew up in a household where we just like shit on each other all day. That's how we show our love. Like it makes me cringe. And again, this does not make my family any better, because it's like rough sometimes. But I cringe at like my friends whose families are like, okay, well, daddy wants you home by 8, and they're like, okay, love you so much. Okay, no, I love you so much. And I'm like, because like my family's more like you show your love by like picking on each other and stuff. Like I get ready for prom, my brothers are like, oh, someone's head's big. Or like, I remember in high school, I used to come home, and if I had like a pimple on my face, my dad would like prepare an extra plate of dinner and be like, you didn't introduce me to your friend. Like, what's going on? Yeah. And so like, no one's head ever got too big, and we just like, that's how we roll with it. And so I've never, like, quite frankly, never been able to be the person that was like on my high horse, because like we just ground each other all day long with everything.
Well, that's the best thing about for my family. There's so many people in the house all the time. So for like different, like with Bells, like I'm like, I love you so much, Bells. You're the best like sister in the whole world. And then with Mina, like she's a year younger. She's like, Joel, oh my gosh, you're gonna wear that? Are you kidding me? You're gonna, like, it's so wrinkly. I'm like, oh, take it off, go iron it, or like it's just like messing around with each other. And then Joseph and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, so it's like kind of the same thing. Yeah, but there's a mix.
Totally.
So,
I think it's just the biggest thing is like your family in certain situations, and like our situations, those are the closest people to you. And so like it's almost like ingenuine to like just be gassing each other up all day long, you know? But I think it's so cool. And it's interesting to think too about like, I get so excited thinking about the future with my brothers. Like now they're finally.
That's what, but when you were talking about that, when you were talking about your grandma, like kind of being scared about people moving away. Yeah. That's what I'm scared of. I'm like, we grew up so close to each other, and I'm like Yitzhak's in New York and Miami, and the only time we get to see them now is like when he's back for the holidays. That's true. So it's like weird. Like it's slowly, and I'm like here in Irvine, but I'm not too far away. But then it's
you're as far as you make yourself, though.
But it's like, wait, like what if people start and then we don't get to see, especially like my little sister.
And you don't want to think about it.
Yeah. So it's like weird.
Totally.
But I think it's gonna work out. Yeah, I don't know what we're gonna do, but
it will regardless. But yeah, it's definitely interesting. Or even thinking about like, there's so many outside factors. I'm like, if my brother dates a girl who lives in like Texas, and then they go raise their family in Texas, like my older brother.
You gotta watch out.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm gonna start being super picky. They don't date anybody, so it's not fun for me. That's like my one chance at getting a girl in my family, is like when my brothers date. My older brother lives on Catalina Island. And so his fiance, I love her to death. I went and lived with them for a summer. But Catalina Island's so close, but it's also so far. And like making the effort to like get on the boat, it's like not super cheap. And getting over there and spending time, I want to do it as often as possible. But like life gets in the way. And before you know it, I mean, we haven't talked in 10 years. Like before you know it, years just fly by. And so it worries me because... You know, I don't know. Like, I see my nephew, and like I said earlier, I see him through Snapchat, but he's getting so big. But it's interesting to think about, like, your siblings, their spouses, or the people they end up with, if they end up with somebody, that's also, like, your sibling. It's crazy.
It's crazy. It is crazy.
Like, there's a whole family that you're going to live the majority of your life with that you don't even know yet. Dude.
Whoa.
It's crazy.
Deep.
Do you believe in, like, soulmates?
Wow, what a turn.
That wasn't that big of a turn. Like
from the story you're telling now. Really.
Not that he's my soulmate. this bartender at the coffee place by my work.
Wow, what a
yeah, I mean, just like top of the head, yeah or no?
Well, it's because I was gonna say I used to.
Okay. Oh, rough, dude.
I know.
Me too, man.
Yeah, but after the last relationship, not so much.
Yeah. At the end of the day, I don't know. I think it's so much better to look back in a positive light, especially like being grateful for. I think this is. It's been a year of growth, but like I'm in a place now where like I move through things very gracefully. So like I'm not inherently an angry person. When things happen that aren't fair or like that hurt me, it's kind of bad, but I automatically like justify it by being like, well, this, like, someone could literally come in to my work and say something so rude but I'm never someone that's going to be like, what bitch, blah, blah, blah. Like, I'll be like, you know what, she's probably having a bad day. Like, I always justify other people's behavior in that way, which is, I'm realizing is actually not a great thing sometimes because I allow myself to be walked over a lot. Like,
I'm sure you'll find a balance.
Yeah, it is about finding the balance, but I think because I'm not inherently an angry person, I'm working on just kind of like letting things come as they come, letting things go as they go, and realizing like what there is to learn about every situation, and also like living your life not in a state of lack. So when you don't have something, rather than being like honing in on what it felt like when you did have it and like, why don't I have it anymore? It's more like appreciating that you even had it to begin with, because some people will never experience the things that you experienced in that experience, in that relationship, in that
whatever it is,
class, I don't know, whatever that you went through. It's helped shape you into who you are. And like, it does suck when things that shaped you into who you are taken from you, especially when it's a breakup, because that person is still alive. Like, because obviously, you know, losing a grandparent is also the similar. You're losing something that is the foundation of who you are. But with relationships, it's like kind of like playing over in your head, like, did it have to end? Why did it end? But trying to acknowledge more the positives that it brought into your life. And like I said, trusting the universe, trusting God's plan, and knowing that like my wallpaper on my phone is you have not missed out on what was meant for you. And that's like in everything in life, in like career wise, relationship wise. Like, I also have this post in my room that's like, this place where you're at right now, God circled on a map for you. So even though like you feel disoriented sometimes and like you don't really know where your path is, just like reminding yourself that like, as strange as you might feel like a fish out of water, but like where you're at right now is exactly where you're meant to be.
That's a great way to think.
So
it's awesome.
I don't know. I think it's a better way to go through life.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm just a generally very anxious person. And so I think I've just implemented these practices.
Well, I feel like that would help like a lot of people, especially like people that are listening. Yeah. Like, I feel like that's whether they take it or they like however they take it, you know? Like, especially when I hear like Joe Rogan or like different like inspirational people or like professors, like, you take what you want to take and you evaluate it. So like whatever people are listening from, like, take what like you want to hear. And
totally, exactly. Like, if it doesn't speak to you, then
it doesn't.
Let
but,
it pass. But there are some things, and everyone has their own experiences too. I have friends who went through breakups, but like from abusive relationships, stuff like that. And obviously, what I'm saying of like, focus on the good stuff, like, is not going to apply in every situation. But I think in general, it's just like, again, quoting a Twitter or like a tweet or an Instagram post, it's like you have such limited energy in a day and like time. So when you realize how much of that energy and time that you're devoting on things that are making you unhappy, you know what I'm gonna do?
Every time you say that, I'm gonna cut that out so you sound like the smartest fucking person.
What?
Every time you say it comes from an Instagram quote, I'm gonna cut that out.
Oh yeah, so I'm just like spitting straight wisdom. Yeah,
knowledge.
Quote me. I had this guy on my Instagram he writes quotes. He writes quotes. He writes quotes on his Instagram every day. And oh my gosh, it killed me. The other day he wrote one. It was like, work hard and stay humble. And he like slashed it and was like his name.
His name?
And I was like, dude, that is the most like, that should be illegal to say that. Like, that was your it was like in the like calligraphy too, to where I was like, really? Like, you're gonna act like wow.
I'm going to say this. I haven't said this. Okay? Tell me if you heard this before. If not, it's still my quote.
Okay.
Said this in elementary.
Okay.
I have a witness. His name's Asa.
Okay.
He's going to, because this quote is, you can't change someone's mind, but you can sure influence it. Johel Sandoval.
Okay.
And I'm saying it now, so it's on the internet.
It's definitely trackable now. I haven't heard that like direct wording. So run with it.
I'm going to run with it.
Run with it. Oh, gosh.
But that's kind of true, right? Let's talk about that quote so it makes it more.
Okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Dive into what it means to you.
So what it meant to me was that kind of thing where when I would think about people like giving inspiration or motivation, you never really like, because, and this comes from being a political science
totally
and stuff. Like in politics, people are like so set in their ways.
So I love this conversation.
So you can never really change someone's mind, but you can sure influence it.
Bam. You know, I think that's another thing too, is like and maybe this goes into why I'm just very candid, and like I love just like, I'm gonna tell you what I think, but like I could sit with someone who's an atheist and have a great conversation, because I just feel like when you learn new things, it's like there's never any harm in just like listening to someone else's point of view, listening to someone else's belief, because it's only going to strengthen either your own belief or like strengthen your feelings about your own belief, or it's going to open your mind a little bit more. And so I've just never understood people that are so set in their ways that they like can't even listen to anybody else. Because I just think it's so interesting to hear someone else's perspective on things. Like I love when somebody disagrees with me and I'll be like, oh, I think this. And they're like, really? I think this. I'm like, really? I want to know why. Like instead of being like, you're wrong, my way is the right way. Because there's no right way to, with anything, you know, even with relationship talk.
And like how'd you, and where'd that come from? Or like, how'd you learn?
I think.
Did college help in a way, or like? Totally.
Well, I think even just like, I think it helped in the way that I saw so much of what I didn't like about like people not listening to each other, where it was like so many arguments, you realize you're kind of saying the same thing, but people are so set in their ways that like they refuse to even listen, or like so much belief is grounded in just, or like what your preconceived notions that you may not actually know. It's kind of like, this is a dumb example, but it's a simple one. There's like a commercial on 23andMe when it first came out, and it was people who were like, oh, I hate Germans, like blah blah blah, and then they would take the DNA test and be like, oh, you're 40% German, and kind of like forcing you to reevaluate your own beliefs. I feel like you should never be set in stone with anything you believe, because you should constantly be open to growth and learn. And that's why I kind of talked about this a little bit earlier, but like I grew up super Catholic, right? So like even like people who were just like Christian, it was like, we do not believe the same, we believe the same thing, but like, you know, it's that weird, like everyone has different beliefs. And I think growing up, like I have this kind of understanding, my own understanding now, that like everything is kind of connected. So it's funny because like, I don't know if you've noticed, but sometimes I intermix like the universe and God now, whereas before I was like, oh, those universe hippies like talking about like zodiac sign, and now I'm like all into that shit. I love it. And kind of just, I guess, just understanding like the bigger powers at play and not having to tie it down to like I need to understand it completely, because it's not meant to be understood, you know. But some people feel like they have it understood.
No.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and that's because like a lot of my close friends and just like people in my life, I've noticed when they're super like you said, closed-minded, and I just don't understand it.
It's not like, it's not an attractive thing, and it's not a good thing to have, but at the same time you just have to deal with those people because they exist. Yeah. Because in their own world, like they're always going to be right. Right. And it's just learning to deal with that. Yeah. I think one of the biggest things and now I'm gonna shit on, so I love UCI and I love but there's, and one of the reasons I loved coming to UCI was because I never, even when I was growing up, especially when like 2016 happened, and these levels of conversation between, now I'm getting all political, these conversations between liberals and like conservatives, they would be so divisive, right? Yeah. And when I would see students at UC Berkeley and I would hear things about certain speakers not being able to go speak, even at UCLA, I would tell my brother, I would be like, oh, I don't want to go to those schools. Right. Like, I don't want to go to, like, and it was so maybe not a controversial thing, because like I'm Latino and I should be 100% like Democratic, and I should be right, because that's the label, general, that's right. Like you have to be Democrat, like, right? But growing up, and it came from like my dad's way older, and he would always tell us about these, because he just knows so much, and like I would always listen to him, where like maybe my other brothers and sisters would be like, oh yeah, dad, but I always sit and be like, and he'd tell me about all these things and like all these point of views. Yeah. So growing up, I thought that was the most important thing about, and so when I got to UCI, it was less that way, because Irvine is historically Republican. Really? For the first time in I don't know how many years, we elected the first ever, especially for UCI in the Irvine district, Democrat. Yeah. So it was like a big wave. That's so interesting. This last election. But yeah, it was a less divisive group, and it was less like radical liberal, like left.
Yeah.
So when I came, but the thing was, I came thinking that, and I was like, oh, I get to go to UCI. It's less like that. But when I got here, I was disappointed and let down by the political science like department, because when I went to classes, other than the undergraduate ones and the upper divs, when we would learn about politics and theories, whenever you would never hear the other people because the college Republicans would be too scared to voice their opinion, or when they would come out and set up a desk, they get shit on and like, all that kind of stuff. And it's just, and I don't like, in no way do I like, of course there's some like, I'm always gonna vote, of course, like, and that's my personal beliefs. I'm gonna vote like, if I were to vote now, it'd be like for the Democrat,
right?
But it's just like in class all the time, like I challenge or like I raise my hand, I'm like, well, I don't think that's actually like, and like people look at me wrong, but I'm like, if no one's gonna say anything, no one's gonna say anything, but it's this like, and that was kind of why I started to look for a different minor, and there's a sense of me that wanted to change majors because I felt personally like let down because there wasn't, because I was like, oh, when I get to college we're gonna have like these debates and these discussions and like there's gonna be like a bunch of smart people. But there's not a lot of
room for discussion,
right?
Or there's not room made for discussion because people don't want to speak up.
People are not. Yeah, people don't want to speak up because they're
and
scared.
Rightfully so. Because you never know. Like, and sometimes it genuinely just comes from like, I believe in that too. But let's question ourselves for a second. It's never like
it's not even
I'm against you. It's more like, hey, let's take it. And you should always be questioning your own beliefs. I mean, I did a report on this. It was a play called Doubt, but it's literally about how like, in order to grow in faith, religiously but also like just spiritually in general, you should always be doubting your own beliefs. And I guess in growth as a human being in general, you should always be doubting yourself. You should never be complacent and like okay, now I understand everything. You'll never understand everything. And that's why like it was always interesting for me. I went to LMU, which is a very liberal campus, and it was interesting to me because I always felt like it was always placed like you have to be either way over here or way over here.
Can I ask you a question? So LMU is going to be more liberal, but it's also, isn't it like a religious?
It is, but it's a Jesuit institution. And so Jesuits are like the priests that also are like professors. So they're super focused on education. And so because of, I mean, I don't say because of that, but kind of because of that, it's generally a more liberal. Like I remember even in my confirmation class, we were talking about how like birth control is not that bad. And like, or like premarital sex is okay if it's consensual. And I'm like talking to priests, I'm like, I don't think my priest at like St. John Vianney would say this. But it's just like interesting. The Jesuits are generally just more liberal.
I just wanted to clear that.
But it was always interesting because like I did grow up Catholic, which does to a certain degree, like my best friend is very liberal and she is very against like religion. And so it was always interesting because I felt like, well, if I'm super like Catholic is associated with like being conservative, right? And I grew up in a family of all cops. So like there are certain things, but also I'm a woman, and also like I'm someone in this generation where generally I feel like this generation is just, maybe I'm wrong, but like we're just more liberal. It was always interesting to me, like finding a balance between like, you know, if I don't agree with you, does that mean we're against each other, you know? And I remember when like all the Black Lives Matter and like police brutality, it's a real thing. But I remember like my little brother was struggling with it because he was seeing a lot of posts that are like cops are fucking pigs, like they're trained to kill people. And like my dad, I'm 22 years old and I still think my dad is like the greatest human being on this earth, and I stand by that. But so my dad sat down with me and my siblings one day and was like, I'm your only example. Like me and your uncles are like your view of what a police officer is. So of course, when I see captions and stuff, I'd be like, how could you talk about my dad that way? But like, he'd be like, you need to realize like, not everyone is. In fact, a majority of people aren't like that. And I think it was so important for me and my siblings to grow up in a home where like, we're encouraged to have that conversation and constantly be questioning ourselves. Like, yeah, I'm a cop, but cops are assholes. Like, that's,
Yeah.
you know, and so, like, it's kind of, like, always never being too sure about anything and never ruling anything out and always being open to, like, hearing other people's conversations and backstories, because it's better than, like, blindly just following.
Yeah. You wanna be my co-host of this podcast, because we are
We're just spitting fire.
we hit an hour 20 in the last audio, and we're at 30 minutes.
Wow.
So it's probably gonna hit. Yeah. And no one's knocked on the door.
No one's, unless they're just sitting out, like,
Just
no, they would have
waiting.
knocked for sure, or at least like stuck their face right there.
Yeah,
My only encounter with a cop really outside of my family, and like, let me say I'm also like a white small girl, so I have very different experiences. But I got pulled over for speeding. Like, it was right after I got my license, and I was late to school, and I got pulled over on like Stimson, I don't know, the street you used to live on.
Yeah.
Where, like, right by
Grisede.
Orange Grove, like, you know, or not Orange Grove, sorry, Grisede, yes.
Yeah, Grisede.
You know how that one street, everyone speeds on that
everyone
street.
Gets, everyone gets
pulled over. So I got pulled over. This guy was such a dick. He was so rude to me and was like just saying shit to me that, like, you, like, I get it, you know, I'm getting a ticket, whatever, but like, he was also just like being a dick. And I went home and I was like crying, and I was so pissed because I was like, I had to go do classes or whatever, so it wouldn't be on my record and all this shit. And I remember like having, because he also pulled my brother over, same exact guy, and my brother used to have like a race car look, like he was always getting pulled over, but so he had a very bad experience with this same cop because my parents recognized his name on the ticket. And we were just talking about it, and I was so pissed. And like, I remember my dad was like, this is most people's interactions or worse with cops, like the power dynamic, and like, and I think it's always been like keeping you in check. Like, I come from family cops, and every time they always have to, like, they make a point to remind you, like, don't be set in your ways. Like, you know, always understand that, like, you should never be too sure about anything, any situation.
Yes.
I'm big into like true crime. Like, I listen to a lot of true crime podcasts. But yeah, no, I'm a huge scaredy cat. So every time
true crimes,
so I listen to a lot of true crime podcasts, and it feeds into my own anxiety surrounding, like, I build up scenarios in my head, and they become so real. Like, I'll be walking in my car and like hear someone step behind me, and I'm like, it's a murderer, they're following me to my car. And so like, I have this little pepper spray that I'm not even sure if it works, but I just hold it for the peace of mind.
I have a story about
of knowing that I have it, because
it's because I feel like you're a very like imaginative person. When we were talking about dreams and everything, and a lot seems like
it's a scary place up there, let me tell you. There are like a bunch of trap doors, you know, where like I never understood.
You don't want to go through that thought because you're like, I don't know.
I don't know where it's gonna end. It's that's why it's always like amazed me, the people that can just think in black and white. Yeah, I wish my brain is like creating new avenues to everything.
I feel like there's doors in my head, but like they're labeled for me. So
okay,
like, nah,
so you're like, I don't want to go in that one right now.
Not today.
No, mine, like,
Maybe
the doors are,
tomorrow.
it's like, you know, like the SpongeBob episode where he's like going through all the file cabinets, and like that's my brain.
Half the time.
Yeah.
That's funny. I had a story about pepper spray. Oh my goodness, like my sister bought a pepper spray thing, right? But I guess it was so super weird location for it to be in. It was like in the snow clothes, so like we have like little bins of so I pull it out, and I saw it was pink, and I'm like, I wonder if this still works. So I take it out, and I'm shaking it, and I go and I spray it onto the thing, and it goes, but I sprayed it too close, so it goes, and I go, and it didn't hit me or anything, and I was like, and my eyes go, and my skin starts to irritate, and I'm like, and I'm just like coughing. I can't even be near there, and I'm like, wait, if I leave this, my mom's gonna come in, and people are gonna freak out.
You like gas everybody out.
I'm like, I throw it on the ground, and I'm like, and it's all red, and it looks old, but maybe that's how it's supposed to look like. So I'm like, trying to figure out how to clean it. So I go back, I close the garage, and I'm like, okay, I need to do something. And it's normal, like it's a normal day, and I'm like freaking out. So I'm like,
love that.
So I like go and I look for this like rag.
Yeah.
And I'm like arming myself, mask, go in there, hits my eyes
still there?
only, it's like hitting my eyes, and I'm like
Oh my
watering,
gosh.
and I'm like cleaning it up, take it out, throw it away. I didn't want to get on my skin,
Yeah.
because I didn't know if it like, because my
Irritated,
face
yeah,
was
yeah.
like super irritated. So
it worked.
yeah, and I was like, damn, if
All right, good to
that
know.
got that like in my,
Like if you
dead.
accidentally just like spray.
Oh my.
Or like
goodness.
even mine sometimes like I have to figure out where the hole is. Not that I hope I never have to I hope I never have to use it, but like imagine that situation happens and I'm like,
Yeah.
good thing I have pepper spray, sprays myself in the face.
That would suck.
At that point it's my time.
At that time, I give up.
Yeah, at that time take me
Take
away.
me away.
My high school coach tried to get me to run with a stun gun. And then I realized that it's probably more dangerous for me to be running with a stun gun.
Oh, I thought he was.
He's like,
I was like, wait a minute, are you gonna? Yeah, like.
Oh my gosh, that's
Like if you
hilarious.
slow down your pace?
No, because I used to, especially my freshman, sophomore year in high school, I didn't really have like,
Yo, if you fall,
yeah, dead. Or maybe not dead, but like definitely definitely a little shook. But my freshman, sophomore year of high school, I didn't really have like an established girls team at my high school.
Uh-huh.
Let me just say high school one more time. But
Yeah.
so I ran with the guys. Yeah. But the guys were too fast for me. So it was like this weird gap where I was always running by myself.
Mhm.
And dude, girls running alone, it's a dangerous world out there. Like I cannot tell you how many times
No,
I've
I
been
bet.
followed
My
on
sister-
runs,
My
like-
sisters told me, yeah.
yeah. And I don't really, that's where like I'm not someone who really sits here and is like, oh, these are all the things I have to deal with because I'm a woman. Like
Mhm.
generally, and I think that's partially because I grew up in a household with younger brothers who always thought that I was so smart and all this stuff. So like
Mhm.
I never felt like I was treated differently for being a girl.
Uh-huh.
Obviously now that I'm an adult, there are different things, but this is definitely a realm where I'm like, it fucking sucks being a girl
Yeah.
sometimes. Like just
For
the amount
sure.
of fear that I feel every time I mean, it helps me run faster, but like when I'm even running through Hacienda Heights, which I would argue is a pretty safe
safe.
neighborhood.
Yeah.
I've
My sister
been
would tell
followed
me-
several
My
times.
sister told me that there's like this moment, and it's literally right next. She said it was daytime, and
Mhm.
cars are passing
Yeah.
by, and she was like running,
Yeah.
and people like this guy tried to cut her off, and this other guy tried to cover her, but like
Yeah.
some woman came and like was like, "Hey, what are you doing?" And
Yeah.
then she like bolted off.
Yeah, I think
and
that's
was like,
another thing too, is like it's cool to realize the people who are looking out for you.
Yeah.
Because whenever I can, or I guess I don't run anymore because I'm a lazy piece of shit. But back when I was running, I used to have my mom or my dad follow me in their cars or on a bike or something. And the amount of people who would pull over and be like, "Hey, do you know this car following you?" Or like, my dad would be on a bike next to me and they're like, "Is this your dad?" Like just making sure.
Mhm.
It was cool to see that had it
People
been,
care.
yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, sometimes, but it's cool to see that had it
Yeah,
been
yeah.
a bad situation. One time, tangential, I went to Disneyland. Me and my ex went a couple years ago, and he, for some reason, used to carry like a pocket knife in his pocket at all times. Why? I have no idea. But so this is right when they moved. Are you familiar with Disneyland?
Of course.
Okay, it's right when they moved the check-in to like the parking garage area,
Okay.
as opposed to when you actually go into the parks. So like now they have like the metal detector, all that stuff. They have it right when you get out, before you get on the tram, or before you
you're
go into
talking about-
downtown
okay.
Disney,
Yeah.
as opposed to
You're
it.
talking about from that area. I've usually come from, like, maybe I know what you're talking about.
Well, like, okay, you park in the parking structure and then you get on the tram.
With like Monsters Inc. and all that. Are you talking about that?
I think so.
Maybe.
Yeah. Or even downtown Disney. So now the metal detectors are all going into downtown Disney, whereas downtown Disney used to be free range, and then you would have to go through the metal detectors to get to the parks.
Oh, okay.
So now
okay.
the metal
I
detectors
know
are
what you're talking
earlier.
about.
Basically, we
Mhm.
park the car, go there, and he's like, "Oh crap! Like I have my knife in my pocket." And like they kind of heard us having this conversation because I was like, "Are you serious?" Like whatever. So we walk back to the car. On our way back to the car, like this guy starts following us, and this is like when we were freshmen in I was a freshman in college, and like my ex-boyfriend is not the biggest guy around, and this like guy following us was like a really hefty, scary looking dude. And so I was like, if this guy follows us to our car, like, no chance. We stand no chance. He's gonna like, is he trying to? And this is also my brain creating these scenarios in my head. So walking back to the car, and I was like, wait, like, let's stop for a second. So I like opened my bag and pretended to be getting something out of my bag so I could let this guy pass us, because he was like definitely creeping on us. And so I was like, if I stop and he stops, then I'll know that this guy's following us. And so I stopped and got something out of my purse, and the guy ended up leaving. So I was like, okay, he's not following us. We went back to the car, put the knife in the car, went back to the check-in, and like the security guard was like, yeah, this is them. And so they pulled us aside, and they're like, we have you on our security cameras, like concealing the weapon inside your backpack. And I was like, what? And they're like, we saw you, like the second you guys got behind the wall, like you whispered something to your boyfriend, and like we saw you open your purse. And I was like, the reason I opened my purse is because like some guy was following us, and I just wanted a reason to like stall for a second. And they're like, well, the guy that was following you was one of our like security guards, like undercover, and he saw you concealing the weapon. And I was like, oh, I felt like so like wrongfully accused. I was like, it was the tiniest little like pocket knife, and I was like, what do you think we're doing here? Like gonna go stab people with like a pencil sight? I mean, whatever. So they weren't gonna let us in.
Really?
And then and I was like, literally, I will leave my backpack with you. I will strip naked, like I don't have anything on me. And they ended up like searching our bags again, making us go through the metal detector like 3 times before they're like, all right, we'll just let you go, but like whatever. And they let us in, but like it ruined my entire experience while I was there, because like there are so many undercover people at Disneyland. And so like the whole time, anytime I'd make eye contact with someone, I was like, dude, not with this brain, not with this brain, baby.
That's what I learned.
So like the whole time I'm like I was like, that person is undercover, like I was like being so conscious about what I'm saying. God forbid I say something like, I want to die or something, they're going to be like, oh, she's going to commit a mass murder with that pocket knife right now. But it ruined my entire experience. And then my ride home, which is why I'm saying this, is I was like, you know what? It's actually cool to know that, like, had it actually been a threat, I'm glad that they're on top of it. Yeah. I wasn't a threat, so it was really annoying because it ruined my night. But it was also, like, acknowledging that that's a cool system set up, too, I guess.
Yeah. Benefits. There's good things and bad things.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure, like, Disneyland's... What else? That's probably the first 20 minutes of this podcast. Yeah. What a great moment.
Yeah.
That made me genuinely laugh. No, but that's great. Because I'm sure Disneyland's a prime target for, like,
you know, not to be, like, so morbid, but I'm actually, knock on wood, I'm actually kind of surprised that, like, I know that they have great security. Like, there are a lot of things that go on that we don't realize, like how much security is actually around us. Mm-hmm. But I am, again, knock on wood, surprised that, like, it hasn't been, nothing crazy has happened there, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
And that makes me wonder, like, maybe not, but, like, for terrorist attacks and stuff, are, like, kids off limits? Is like the happiest place on earth? Is that just off limits? It's like, it's a general understanding.
I would hope.
But I guess not, because like Sandy Hook. It's crazy that that's the society we live in nowadays. Where like, we're totally desensitized to it, so it's like not a joking manner at all. Yeah. But it's crazy how our society has made it like, kind of like you have to like use humor to get through it, because it's the daily life that we live. Like, I work at the like Century City Mall.
Have you seen? Sorry. No.
Have
you seen Mesa or Wilson now?
No.
Have you not seen?
Oh yeah, like how it's completely locked down.
It looks like a fucking prison.
Yeah, you can't get in.
Like, I was gonna go walk in to go say hi.
Just say hi to people. Nope.
Hi to Miss B, or like go get my sister, and it's a wall into a wall. Like a gate
there are
into
like
a gate.
2 gates to even get in.
And I saw. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you remember. No, you didn't go to Wilson. Fuck. There's a security guard that I know. Yeah. And I was gonna be like, I was like, hey Roy, like, and he was like, oh no, dude, you have to go. And then I would go through the office, and then of course I know the office, and I'd have to go through. And they recognized me, but if I was like some random dude, then it would be like weird. Yeah. But I went across, and I was just like, damn, like. Yeah. And I told my little sister, I was like, and she was like, what do you mean? And I'm like, oh, it's because they grew
up with that.
With the prison.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, even like things that we don't realize, like, you know, those buildings that have like big pillars outside, that was really put up like after 9/11, with like big, like, technically because someone could run their truck into a building or something. Whereas like we grew up with that, so I was always like, so trucks don't crash into buildings. But like at some point there was a reason for that. And so it's weird to think, I mean, like even So, like I said, I work at the Century City Mall. The other day, there was a shooting there. And the article came out like 7 a.m. and I worked at 7:30, and I'm like sitting in the front office. And I'm like, all right, sweet. Like, and one of my first days there was a robbery. I don't know the difference between robbery and like a thief and a robber are technically different things. So I don't know what the difference is, and I don't want to like make people mad with like, I'm a grammar Nazi, so like I don't want to make people who are like, it's a different thing. But somebody like smashed and grabbed a bunch of stuff from the Apple store, and someone yelled shooter. So the entire mall was like sprinting. There's an escalator right in front of like where my office is located.
His accomplice said that? That'd be pretty smart.
I don't know.
Everyone stopped.
I think everyone just heard the big shatter and saw people running and screaming, and so someone just yelled shooter because like I think that's where our brains go now. Mm-hmm. But people, there's an escalator right in front of my office.
Shooter? Would you scream out shooter?
I think
that's the first thing I would say.
I don't know if I'd say anything.
Fuck.
I don't think.
Would it help anyone?
I mean, like, I think they were trying to help and be like, everyone get out. But I remember like the escalator right in front of where my office is. People were like jumping off the top of the escalator, like, hanging off the side and like jumping just to get out of there. And like us like barricading ourselves in the back, and like it was weird because it was like in that situation.
You were there. You're in this situation.
Yeah, but but I mean, we didn't hear gunshots or anything, so it was all hearsay. But we were like barricaded in the back, and our whole office is glass, so we're like just like hoping for the best, hoping it's nothing. And then we got the clearance that it was like a robbery or whatever. But in that moment, it was kind of one of those like, you got a real life example of like, what do you do in that moment? Yeah. You know, and I'm grateful that it ended up not being life-threatening. Yes. But you never know, dude. And we're in such a society now. I remember after the Vegas shooting, which hit super close to home because a lot of SoCal people were there, watching all the videos and stuff of
Colfer, my good friend, really, really good friend, was at the concert. He planned to shoot. He wanted to shoot up the Chance the Rapper one.
Yeah. Life is beautiful. Yeah.
Jinx, you owe me a soda.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know why I said that.
No, I mean it's one of those situations where it's like,
I don't know why I said Jinx, you owe me a soda.
Oh.
Okay.
Lame.
Lame. Cutting that out for sure.
Grow up. Jinx.
No, Colfer was at that, and he was telling me about it. That like, and I saw the 60 Minutes or like something like document that he was planning on shooting that. And I was like, holy shit! Like if he was there, that'd be So he like was like, I'm so lucky, but it sucks to say that because then, like,
obviously, yeah.
But it's just like, wow, like that could have.
Yeah, or even like friends who I had who were at the Route 95, Route 55.
I think Route 66. Cars?
It might be Route 66.
You're talking about Cars?
Yeah.
The movie Cars, Route 66? The road that was broken.
What was it actually? Route? The name of that concert.
Oh. The one that got...
The one in Vegas.
You want me to look it up?
Yeah.
We can cut that part.
Okay.
And we can look it up, and then you can say the right thing.
Okay.
Or I can leave this all in.
Route 91. I think.
Yeah, Route 91.
So I had a couple friends who were there at the
Harvest
Route 91
Festival.
concert.
I think that's what it's called, like Harvest.
Okay. And they ended up leaving a day early just to skip traffic. And like to think about, like, they didn't even realize, you know, or even like I remember a couple months before, I'm a big country music person, and so I go to Stagecoach, and I was talking to one of my friends, and she's like, I don't go to Stagecoach anymore. Like, it's too expensive. I go to this one called Route 91. It's happening in a couple months. Like, you should get tickets. And I was planning on going, but I was still running at the time. And so I had a race that weekend. It just didn't make sense for me to go out there. And not to at all put myself in a situation like, oh, I was there. But, like, it's interesting to think about, like, opportunities you don't take and, like, where that would have placed you.
Yeah.
It's wild.
Yeah, it's crazy. That's scary.
Well, even, like...
Scary times.
Yeah.
Have you gotten stopped going anywhere? Like, have you stopped, thought, and then decided not to go somewhere for
Yeah.
that?
Oh, 100%. So I'm.
Where and
Yeah, that's a good question because this actually has
what happened to my water? Sorry.
It's behind you, to your right there.
Thank you.
It's like out of your peripheral vision. It's like with those fish that their eyeballs are like on the side of their heads and they can't see in front of them. But this used to put a strain on, like, not a strain on my relationship, but like it's an interesting thing where I can't go to a movie in the movie theaters. Because, like, I think because of social media, again, not to place myself there or say in any way that, like, I dealt with that trauma.
Yeah,
but I think because we're so close to it and we have access to so much footage and stuff like that, it almost is like a secondhand experience of these things. Yeah, so I remember...
Especially the Snapchats. That scares me so much. Oof. I remember seeing the day after the Vegas thing. And, like, you could hear...
Yeah. You'd hear it, like, it's crazy. Yeah. And so, after there was, like, the Dark Knight shooting, the guy that, in, like, Aurora, Colorado, I think. There was the shooting at the movie theater. And then there was another shooting in a movie theater a couple years later. Do you know how many movies go on in a day, completely unbothered, all over the United States? But after that happened, I just, like... became so anxious about it to the point where like my like heart rate would rise in movies and stuff to where I wasn't even focused on the movies. Like to this day, the only reason I say I was is because I just don't go to movies anymore. But for a while, even when I try to go, all I'm doing is watching people. What's he reaching for? Like, and it'd be like a guy like going in his, or like if a guy was in a movie alone, poor dude, man, just trying to watch a movie, and I'd be like, why is this guy here alone? Like, what's he reaching for? And, like, so my boyfriend would be there, and I'd be like, hey, what's he reaching for? And he's like, he's getting popcorn. Like, calm down. But the whole entire time, all I cared about was, like, that guy just went for the exit. I wonder why. You know, like, or, like, I never wanted to sit in the front rows because I was like, hey, maybe if we sit in the back, we'd have more reaction time. And it's just, like, so crazy that you even, because it sounds ridiculous to even be thinking this way. And it is an exaggerated version, I will say, because
you know what
of the way my brain works.
Exactly.
Yeah. But it's
rooted
in real things, But I shouldn't let it affect my life to the extent I do, to which I do. And I think recently...
So what's the last movie you saw? You haven't... So you're telling me you haven't seen Once Upon a...
I see movies still, but, like, the last movie I saw in the movie theater... I can't even tell you. So probably...
You didn't watch Toy Story 4 in theaters? Not even Frozen 2?
Nope. In fact, one of the last movies I saw in the theater was... the last movie I saw in theater was It. The first It. Well, not the first It, but the most recent first It.
Okay.
Which I think was probably about 3 years ago.
Yeah.
So...
This movie was alright?
Yeah. I mean, normally I'm fine just watching them afterwards by myself. That way I can pause it. Because I think the other thing was I loved watching scary movies. So I love to just do that to myself. And so I would go to a scary movie in a theater. And, like, I'm freaking out already because, like, the movie gets suspenseful. But then also, like, I feel my blood, like, getting all hot. Because I'm also like, okay, this is getting suspenseful. Is something going to happen? Like, you know, I don't know. It's kind of ridiculous. I have self-diagnosed like OCD, which I think is where my anxiety comes from. And the only reason I say that is because I just do a ton of research, because like my brain is a complicated thing. Like,
yeah, it is.
And so,
but very interesting.
It's interesting for sure. Fun, but I like have compulsive thoughts and stuff to where, like, if it's in my head, I know my logic brain is like, Emily, you can go sit in a movie theater, but I just have these thoughts. But so I went through this phase when I stopped running. It might have just been because I had so much energy left over, where I was so afraid. My parents make fun of me for this, and my roommates, of carbon monoxide poisoning. That doesn't really happen too much in, like, California. Yeah. It usually happens in colder states because people, like, warm up their cars in the garage, and then the carbon monoxide seeps or whatever.
The only reason I know that is because of Paranormal Activity, or, like, one of these movies.
Yeah, I saw a movie once, and I was like,
scary movie,
that is the worst way to die.
Yeah.
You just sleep. It's so avoidable, you know? It's so preventable.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
And it's dumb.
The ghost locked the door, turned on the car, sped it up. And I was like, what?
Yeah.
And then
everyone just dies in their sleep.
and then the person next to me was like my friend was like, "Oh, dude, it's carbon monoxide. Like he's gonna," and I'm like, "What the?" And he's like trying to break, and and I was like, "Wow, that's scary."
Yeah. Well, and then most of the time when it does happen, it's not super super common, but it's common enough to like, whatever. But not as much in like California. At least that's what my dad told me because he made fun of me for it. But when I first saw it, I was just freaked out because I was like, "Hey, listen, there are a lot of ways you can die, and that's just so preventable and like." I'm not letting my whole family die from a leak in my house that was so anyways, it's so lame. But so every night before I went to bed, I would have to like, even if we didn't cook all day, I'd have to go check that the stove is off, check that like everything's good. And I have a carbon monoxide detector that I literally lay next to my bed. And everyone thinks it's so funny because it's very, I get it. But like for me, it's like, I'd rather just like, no, you know, like just have the peace of mind, even though it's annoying. But like, so back in college when I lived in my house I lived in a house for a couple years with my best friends, and my room was like a suite, so it had its own kitchen, but the house had a kitchen too. And so every night, like I literally could not fall asleep until I checked that the doors were all locked and the stove was off. And our house is really creaky, so like every night I'd like be embarrassed to leave my room because I knew my roommates would hear me be like, "It's off, Emily, like go to bed." But like, and they give me so much shit for it. But
do you still do that now?
Not as much because I have the detector.
Oh, okay, nice.
Yeah. But see, but I'm like feeding into my own bad tendencies. But you know, it's a process. Yeah. I mean, it's important to acknowledge. Yeah. I think it's funny. Just safe. Yeah.
You're just safe.
But at this point also, like,
you're cautious.
If it's my time, it's my time, man. Because, like, I don't think anyone should ever be afraid to, like, a little bit. Well, not with carbon monoxide. That's just stupid. But, like, travel, like, people are afraid of travel and stuff. And I'm like, you know what? Like, I'd rather take those risks. If I'm going down in a plane, God is calling me home.
Yeah.
Or like people who die like getting hit in the head by a coconut. At that point, I'm sorry. Maybe devastating, but like God was calling you home, sis.
Or maybe they just realized like God was like, actually, I messed up on this
one. Well, yikes. A big yikes on that one.
I'm sorry too, that was that.
Cutting that out
for sure. All right then.
Alrighty then.
All right. I don't know where we left off, but thank you so much for watching.
Yeah. Thank you for having me. I'm excited. I'm glad that I got to just
thank you
empty out all the junk just in my brain. And hopefully it all kind of it wasn't too much of like crazy jumps, which I know it was.
No, thank you so much. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's going to be about 2 hours.
Okay, yeah.
Of amazing content.
Yeah.
I had a great time, and I had a great time.
No one's going to sit through it, but like it was a great conversation.
I'm sure people will sit through it. As long as it's one person had a great time listening to it.
True, yeah.
That'd be awesome.
I mean, I would listen to our conversation. If anybody wants to like stare at the wall their entire day thinking about an existential crisis,
hey,
that was the podcast to listen to.
Oh, thank you so much, guys, for listening. Again, It's About Time with your hosts, me, Johel Sandoval Franco, and we had an amazing guest, Emily Hubert. You can catch her on all social medias at
Emily Hubert. I think I only have an Instagram, so.
Oh, okay. Perfect.
Yep.
Perfect. Thank you so much, and yeah, have a wonderful rest of your week. And we're out of here.
Bye. Yeah.
Yeah.